Today's lesson is graphing absolute value equations. Our objectives are today to translate the graph of an absolute value equation. So if I look at on the side here on the right, I have y equals the absolute value of x, and I wrote a graph that looks like what it would look like if it was a positive absolute value, which means the positive is on the outside of the absolute value, and it would be going up, and it would always be in that shape of a V. And y equals negative absolute value of x would the V would be going in the downwards, and it would be in the same shape as if it was going upwards. So I have some vocabulary. A V-shaped graph that points upward or downwards is the graph of an absolute value equation. A translation is a shift of a graph horizontally, vertically, or both. So I have it where it's from its original spot where it would start from the beginnings. Notice there's no numbers attached to it. On the right hand side of the picture where I drew the picture, it has no numbers attached with it. So it starts at that center spot at 0, 0. But if I added numbers, inside of the absolute value, that means you're moving it horizontally, moving the graph horizontally. And if I have numbers on the outside of the absolute value, I am moving the graph vertically, and I'll be showing you those in a second. So let's look at one of them. So notice if I had it from the beginning, like I had before, my graph would be start at 0, 0, like I have here. But I have it now at this 2. So if it's at 0, 0, and I went vertically, so I went up 2. So I, again, am having my number attached to the outside of my absolute value. So I have it, the absolute value of something. And it's a positive 2, so this one's a plus 2. It's a little different when you go inside of it, but I'll show you that in a second. So that is your answer, because it's a plus 2. I went up 2. Now if I did B, I'm down here. It went to the point of negative 2 on my coordinate graph. So again, I'm going vertically. So again, I have the absolute value by itself. And this time I'm down 2 from 0. So I'm minus 2. So on example 1, they'll give you the graph. But on example 2, you're going to have to graph it. So you're going to have graph paper for this. So this time they give you the problem, and it's y equals absolute value of x minus 1. Again, the numbers on the outside, so we're going to look at the vertically. So you're going to find minus 1 on your graph paper, and then you're going to make your V. And there you go. All right. On B, you're going to find positive 4. And it's a positive x, so you're going to find and go up and up. Notice it's not very high up on you're not going to have too much. So no worries on that. If you have a negative negative, it would go down, but we're not, there's no negative on that, so no worries. So this one, it says, write an equation. Example 3 is a little different. You're just going to write the equation. Write an equation for each translation of y equals absolute value of x. Okay, and then it says 8 units down. So I'm just going to look at this graph at the bottom that's below it just for a second. So down here it says 8 units down, so I have to find from 0, 0, 8 units down, so that would be negative 8. So it would be y equals absolute value of x minus 8. Remember, we're still underneath it. We're going to erase it because we need it for our next section. And this one is 6 units up from 0, so this time it's y equals absolute value of x plus 6. C is the 3 units down, so it's y equals absolute value of x minus 3 because it's down 3 from 0. Okay, now this one's a little different. On example 4, notice on A and B, the numbers are inside of the variable. I mean, inside the absolute value. So this time, when they're inside, it means it's opposite number. So, if I look at y equals x plus 2, I'm going to find negative 2 on the x line. So I'm going to find negative 2. And then draw my V from there. And there is my answer. So let's look at B. It's a negative 3, so the opposite would be a positive 3. And I'm going to write my V. And there you go. Okay, it says write an equation for each translation of y equals x. Okay, absolute value of x. Okay, so since it's left and right this time, it's the same idea as up here, up on example 4. So it's going to be inside, so it's 8 to the left. So the left side is your negative side. So the opposite of, remember we're doing opposites on this one. So the opposite of a negative is a positive. So y equals x and 6. And it says 6 units to the right, so the right side is your positive, so the opposite of your positive is a negative. And then y equals absolute value of x with a 3. And it says 3 units to the left. So the left side is your negative. So it is going to be opposite side of negative is a positive. And so that's how you would do these problems. They're a little simpler than last lesson. If you need to go watch last lesson again, that would be fine with me. Talk to you later. Bye.